Welcome to episode 25 of the Full Armor of Game podcast with myself, Adam, and Czar. And we're talking about the passport bros phenomenon, the pros and cons of the passport bros. I myself, Adam, I'm going to take the side. I'm not a passport bro myself, but I'm going to take the side of the pros. I'm going to argue for the pros of the passport side, and Czar is going to argue the cons.
You bring the crowns and heads of conquered kings to my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. This is Sparta! Sparta!
Put on the whole armor of game.
This is where we fight!
And these shield boys!
Just so you guys are aware what the passport bros are, those of you watching on YouTube can see my screen here.
There's a movement. There's a new movement. Well, it's not new, but
so the one of the definitions on Urban Dictionary, passport bros: men who understand that Western women have drunk the Kool-Aid, passed the point of no return, and got their passports to enjoy happiness and peace with fit, friendly foreign women. And this one probably gives a better definition. Passport bros. The passport bros are men who have chosen to seek out foreign women, typically from other countries, for relationships. They believe that Western women have been influenced by cultural and societal pressures to behave in a certain way, and that by seeking out foreign women, they can find a more authentic, fulfilling, and harmonious relationship. This is seen as a way to restore the natural balance between masculine and feminine energy and to avoid the quote unquote wickedness of Western women. So I'll let you start, Czar, with one of the cons that you see with the passport bros.
okay. So number one, when I have been watching these videos of the past of men marrying women overseas in Asian countries, Latin countries, the so-called passport bros. Number one, I don't find any of these women attractive. A lot of them are hiding their faces when they're getting married. Maybe there's a specific reason for that, but I don't find them attractive. My other reasoning is this.
Oh wait,
They
sorry.
are
You don't find the women attractive or the
the
men?
women, the
The women.
women they're
Okay, okay.
marrying. I don't
Gotcha.
find them attractive. I think there's a reason why they're covering their faces in many of the videos that you see of them getting married to these specific women. But there's also an issue I have where, to me, it seems as if they're preying on the weak. Third world countries, not necessarily, but women that are in poverty-stricken countries, they go over to these places. To them, it's easy pickings. To me, that's preying on the weak. That's one of the reasons I have of why it's such a con. I understand the whole Western movement with the women and feminism. A lot of men don't like that. They don't agree with what's going on and the way women have turned out to be. But at the same time, you shouldn't be preying on the weak and vulnerable women because a lot of women want to come to America. They want their papers. They want to live in this country. They meet a guy that might have his shit together, guy that could potentially be a good provider for them. That's one of my arguments.
Okay. So the the two things I heard there was the first one about the potentially them not being attractive. Now I can't say for certain. Obviously different cases matter, but maybe they're not showing the faces because they don't want to dox their wife. Like that would be a reason why I wouldn't. Because I've seen some guys where they do videos and interviews with the women they're going on dates with, and they're pretty good looking women. And to take into account the average woman in America of 20 years of age and up weighs 171 pounds.
Mm.
So when you say that they're not attractive in other countries, that's where I go, wait, well, hold on. The average woman in America is 171 pounds. That is my weight, and I'm 6 foot too. So, I mean, maybe I weigh a few pounds more than that, but and the average height, let's see what the average height So I'm 6'2". Average height is 5 foot 3.5 inches for American women. So
But
that's why I have to
we
push
call them plus
back.
size. Adam, we call those women plus size in
Yeah, totally.
America. They're not obese, they're plus size. And how dare you fat shame other people? How
Oh,
dare
hey,
you?
you're the fat shamer. I just mentioned a weight. I didn't say that was fat, Czar. What are you trying to say
How
here?
dare you, Adam? There's everyone has a fetish. Everyone has a fetish for a specific type of women.
Uh,
But let me tell you something, no woman has a fetish for an obese man. Isn't that funny?
that's
So you
fair.
guys
That's
better be
fair.
working
Yeah.
out.
Uh, but the other side of that, so I guess I would ask you is why would you say that that's taking advantage of weak or preying on the weak? Does that, it's just a woman in a different country. Why would that be seen as weak?
Because take Colombia. I know a lot of guys are going to Medellin, Colombia, or areas in Colombia that are poverty stricken that have beautiful women.
Mhm.
So if you're a self-made man or you're basically doing well for yourself in America, you going to a country like Colombia, you're a king with the amount of money you have. And I think women see you as dollar signs. And it's very manipulative. It's deceitful for you to go over there and prey on the weak women because you know they want to get out of that situation. And you're their golden ticket. Captain Save-A-Ho. You're being their savior. But to me, that requires no game. Requires no game at all. Me and you, Adam, we can go to another country like Colombia, Medellin, Colombia. Easy pickings for us. We can easily pick up these women. That requires no game because you can also checkmate a chess player within 3 moves. It's called a fool's mate. I enjoy the game too much. I've worked way too hard for me to go and prey on the weak, especially certain types of women, depending on where they live and the poverty stricken areas.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I guess I don't know that I agree with the preying on the weak
Because if they don't
aspect
have the game,
because
if they don't have the game to pick up women here in America, let's say if they are from America, if they don't have the game to pick up women from the States or get in a relationship with them, hold frame, know how to keep a girl the alpha way, what makes you think you're going to have the game to pick up women in other countries? Unless if the only thing you have as leverage is money, papers for them to come live here in America, give them a better life. To me, that is not game at all.
okay, so yeah, I guess here's where we'll talk about I guess where I would get into some of the pros then of what I'm seeing with some of the pros of passport bros. First off, I don't see it as preying on the weak because, like you said, if you come in and you can live like a king, that is helping that girl out. So you're raising up her life. So that isn't like you're preying on a weak. You're doing her a favor in a sense. You're giving her an opportunity that she might not have had. And uh, so part of that too, when you go, all right, well, this is where I would say a pro of the passport bros, and this is what a lot of guys are saying is you're saying, well, if you don't have the game to handle American women, what makes you think you have the game to handle women overseas? And that is a big part of why guys are saying, yeah, in America, you need so much game to get an average, quote unquote, average woman. You need so much game where in the old days you didn't need all this game. You were just the provider, the man, you're the traditional man, and you could get women like that. There wasn't all these games involved. So, taking that premise, guys are like, in America, why would I do all of this work to get an average woman when I have my life together? I could go over to an overseas area where these women have been raised still in more traditional values. They're raised to appreciate the traditional and feminine roles, and they can now be attracted to me like in the old days here in America simply because I'm a provider and I don't have to learn all this extra game. That would be, I would say, a big pro people would say of why they would do that is because they think it's insane that you have to learn all this stuff just for an average woman when you never had to do that in the past.
Okay, so two things. Number one, if you have the money to go to another country, marry a woman, bring her back here, live happily ever after with her, you have the money to invest into our seminar program that we offer, where we hold your hand from beginning to end and we teach you the game because once you learn the game, Adam, it becomes much easier for you. You know which women to pick up, you know which women to avoid, which women have red flags, which women you want to get in a relationship with. And it makes it much easier for the men we are teaching now because it separates them from all the other beta males that don't have game, that have to go overseas just to find a woman. But when you have the knowledge that we teach them, and by the way, our seminar is now booked and we are full for February. So sign up for the next one in March, fellas. You do not want to miss a seat. You get all of our courses included, which is $1,000 value. That is all included in the 5-week seminar that we are coaching with you guys, me and Adam personally live. You don't want to miss it. But point number 2, when you are going overseas, if you don't have the game to pick up women within your own area, when you bring that girl back from Medellin, Colombia, from the Philippines, wherever, and they run into a guy like me and you, Adam, you think they're going to stay with that beta male dork that they married? Or do you think with the freedom they have in this country, they're going to tell themselves, why do I have to be with this loser cuck who I don't even find sexually attractive? Now that he helped me become something in America, I can go after Adam and be happy. I can go after Czar. I can go after the guy I find sexually attractive. I don't have to be with this loser beta cuck who has no game. You understand the fallacy with that. That's
Well,
why
no,
it's always important
I
to
agree.
have
I
game.
agree with you, but here's my rebuttal here. So the first part of that is that if you want to join our seminar, you can get American women with game. But also, if you want to be a passport bro and go to our seminar, you can get extreme levels
Yes.
of success with women over there. So either way, it's still a big bonus.
They could
Now,
get a
this
supermodel there, Adam, if they
exactly.
wanted with the game we teach.
The second part of that is my understanding is that Passport Bros code is that warning is that you if you're going to find a girl overseas, you don't bring her back to marry her in America because of exactly what you said. Is because there's the dangers of her building new friendships with feminist women and trying to, influence her in that way, or her going to the gym now with all these American men and then her going, oh, I have a better opportunity here. So that is my understanding is that's one of the codes of the Passport Bros is you understand that when you go over to Colombia or you go over to a different country, if you do decide to get married or something like that, the idea is that you would stay there. You wouldn't try to bring her back to America where she could be westernized.
Yes, because that is true. Once you bring back any of these women into the country with the parasite we call feminism, once that parasite invades the host, ultimately they will die. Any parasite that invades its host will ultimately kill it. And that's the parasite we call feminism. So once they come over here and now they feel liberated, they start getting programmed by their peers, by other women they meet, by the social media, by the things they see and visualize that's around them that wasn't in their country. Now they start having doubt. Now they're thinking to themselves, I can get any one of these attractive guys that approach me at the gym, that approach me at the club, at the bar. He's never going to know. And then she has her new friends chirping in her ear, telling her to go out with them, go meet this guy. He finds you attractive. Go meet this guy. He's so much better for you. What are you going to do then? That's why you always have to put on the full armor of game. You have to make sure that doesn't happen to you once you understand the game fully. But my other reasoning is it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to be a passport brother, passport bro. I said passport brother, passport bro, especially today with everyone catching on around the world with what's going on with the passport bros. And I just saw a video someone did where 8 men have now passed away. They've been offed by men in Colombia and women because the women set them up. So they were in Colombia. They heard of the passport bros. Everyone wants to go to Medellin, Colombia. That's the new thing thanks to social media. It really influenced men to go out there now, especially with the videos of the beautiful Colombian women. So these men will go there. They use their Tinder app or whatever dating app they have on their phone. They meet up with a beautiful woman who ends up setting them up. So they get kidnapped, held for a ransom, and eventually these men off them. And they do that I'm not saying for anyone to be violent, but I understand why they do that. I'm not telling them it's okay, but I understand why. They have these men going to their country, picking up their women, trying to marry their women, trying to sleep with their women. They're being very territorial now. They're not having any of that. And there's a certain type of envy and jealousy that comes with that. The men are very territorial. They don't want outsiders inside of their country just because they perceive their women to be easy pickings. I think that's any country. But this particular situation where 8 men have died has happened in Colombia. Because once again, the beta male mind goes in overdrive. Oh my God, Colombian women, I can finally get laid. Easy pickings. I can finally pick up a woman that I couldn't pick up here in America. And I tell guys, if you want beautiful Latina women, beautiful Hispanic women, just come to Central Jersey. They're all in Central New Jersey. You don't have to go overseas, and it's much safer picking up the women in Central Jersey if you go out. Because me and my friend go out every week to these clubs and these places, and we meet a beautiful Colombian woman every time we're out there, and their friends. And they don't even speak English. But when you have the game, when you carry yourself with a certain type of energy and attitude, all women are going to find you attractive. Attraction is a universal language. They don't have to speak English. And it's much cheaper too to go out here. But what I'm trying to say is if you can't pick up women within your area, move. Move to another town. Do your research. Move to another state where there are your types of women there. Because America has good women and we have bad women. That is everywhere you go, fellas. Not every woman is a feminazi. Not every woman is a headache. Not every woman is a thought. Not every woman is a low quality party goer who loves to drink and get high on the weekends and have girls' night out. I don't date these women. I know you don't, Adam. We date high quality women. We have no issues. We don't have to go overseas to find these women. And I don't think we'll ever have to go overseas to find these women because they come to us. They come here. They all want to come to America. You just have to know the right places of where to pick up these women and place yourself in a position where you can pick them up and attract them.
All right. So I'm going to try to take on some of the arguments I heard there. So the safety one, I agree. That would be something you'd have to be very careful of because you could get set up. I did hear a passport bro mention that part. And like we would tell a guy on a date where you set up the date in a public setting so that the girl feels comfortable. Well, now you would do the same thing, but for yourself. You would set the first date up in a public setting so that you're not getting jumped or set up. And then I heard that they said if you don't go back to her place, or at least this guy had mentioned that, he said you would take her back to your place, which would be ideally a nice hotel because they'll have the security so that you don't have to worry about getting jumped. And like you said, with it's cheaper to find a girl in Jersey. I would say I would disagree because, like, for instance, the Philippines, so another pro of the Passport Bros, is if you have the ability to have like a remote job, which a lot of people do these days, especially tech jobs, you can get basically 4 times your spending money in the Philippines versus in America with the same American salary. So your cost of living, you can live like a king, like you mentioned. So now you have the safeguard of having security at your place if you do bring women back. But now also you can take her out to nicer meals. You can actually be the traditional guy because that's what these women appreciate over there. And it will still cost you less if you do it the right way than it would in America. Again, I'm arguing for the sake of these passport bros. And for instance, like myself, I don't ever want to get married here in America because of the laws, the legal system. But a guy like me, like you said, me and you have game here. Yeah, I agree. We can get women here. But if I ever wanted to get married, the idea of going to another country now I still take my game with me, and now I'll just do even better over there, and then I could look for something more serious over there. So there's guys that aren't just betas that are going over there. There's guys that are guys with game, guys that understand women, and they're going, okay, I understand women. But if I want a relationship or I want a better, deeper commitment or even want to start potentially a family, I can go over there. I think guys that are just maybe newer at dating or not good at dating here, well, they can still go over there and date easier than they would by dating American women here.
Yeah, so if you guys do go over there, make sure you learn the game first. Take our advice. Once again, get our courses, sign up for the seminar. If you do go over there, you're still going to need game. And like Adam said, you have to protect yourself. Do not meet her anywhere she tells you to meet her. That's the dumbest thing you guys can ever do, especially if she tells you to come over my place. No woman is that frisky enough. I mean, there are some, I get it, but especially in countries like that, they're setting you up. They're fucking setting you up, guys. Do not be stupid. Meet at a public place, meet at a hotel where there is security. And if she says no, or she has an excuse of not going there all of a sudden, you knew she was going to set your ass up. You knew 100% this girl was going to set your ass up. And it's also dangerous here as well in the States using dating apps like Tinder, because this happened to someone I knew who jumped in this girl's car. She had tints. They met up at a parking lot. He's done this before. He's jumped in women's cars before without even going out with them. So he conditioned himself to believe that this is safe. Nothing's going to happen. I've done this plenty times. He met up with her at a parking lot and she told him, "Hey, how about we go meet behind the building where it's more quiet?" So he went, he met up with her, and just as he jumps in the front seat in the passenger seat, he had a gun pointed to his head. Her boyfriend, her man, was sitting in the back seat. He didn't know it because she had tints, but he still has PTSD from that situation. He asked him for his wallet, for his money, for his bank passcodes on his phone. And when he told me that story, he was still shaking. He got cops involved. They ended up finding the guys because they did this to several other people and they had a picture of their license plate. I don't understand how, but they got it. They ended up getting arrested, but it's also dangerous here. You guys have to be smart. Don't be stupid. Don't just get in a random girl's car. Don't get in any random girl's car. Always meet up with them at a public place first. And don't invite them back to your place without screening her because you don't know who else is going to follow her right after and come through that door. You guys have no idea. I know you're not that desperate or stupid. I would hope not. But listen, bad things happen everywhere you go. But when you're in an environment, in a territory that you are not familiar with, like Medellin, Colombia, it's dangerous there. It's fucking dangerous, especially if you don't speak the language. They're going to take advantage of you. They see a white boy like me or a white boy like Adam. They're going to be like a heat-seeking missile on us. They already know what we're doing there. We have no business being there. And we don't. I don't blame them.
All right, so Czar, here's another pro I would say. So let's just say that there's a guy here in the States who's 5'6" tall. And he is in a bar with guys that are 6 foot, 6'2", 6'5". Now we can say a short guy with game still can get women, no problem. But is he at a severe disadvantage going into places where he has so many other men that are going to be taller than him around?
Of course. I think at first, of course, because women notice
Yeah.
your physique, your height first.
Yeah,
First thing
and
they
so
notice.
I would agree with that. A short guy can absolutely develop game and be fine, but the guess what the average height in the Philippines for men are?
I'd say 5'3".
So it's just under 5'5".
Oh,
So if
wow.
you're a 5'6" guy in the States and you're constantly going after, yeah, there's chances, of course. You can, it's like I don't want you to feel hopeless, but if that guy has the ability to move overseas to a spot like the Philippines, where now he is average or above average height, and then is being a man from the overseas, especially Western men, they're typically looked at as somewhat of a prize. Just like, even it's also a little bit of mystery, the foreign guy. Oh, this is
Mhm.
interesting, something new. So in those situations, especially, I could absolutely see benefits and pros of becoming a passport bro.
Yeah, and I think Asians love the white man. From
Yeah.
my experience, Asians love the white guy for some reason. I can't tell you why, but they love the white guy, whether he's 5'6", 6 foot, 6 feet tall, 6'5". Doesn't matter because I know a lot of Filipinos are short, and I've dated Philippine women that are beautiful. I personally don't find many Asians attractive, but when you find that one rare gem, she is very, very attractive. But that is a pro. I'll give that to you. That is a
Yeah.
pro. But at the same
And
time,
Asian women typically age very well. That is something
yeah.
I'll see. Like I'll see a lot of Asian women playing pickleball, and it's like some women that are like well into their 50s or 60s. It's like, wow, they sometimes, they got the better eating habits typically too, but so there's some pros there.
Yeah, and the Asian women, they're also very submissive and very compliant because of their culture. They're very passive. They're not aggressive. They're not masculine, unless once again, they come to this beautiful country of America and that parasite we call feminism invades that host. Now they're
Yep.
programmed. But I'll give you that. That was a very good pro. I don't want guys to feel insecure because of their height. I never want guys to feel insecure about their height. I think if you're 5'6", the way you carry yourself, your attitude, you could still pick up nines and tens. But
Yeah,
another,
I totally agree. I just see that it's like, okay, if that guy just is coming into it and he's like, oh, could I learn game? All of a sudden he has a successful business or something. He's like, now I got to figure out how to be good with women. If he has the
Mhm.
means to, it's like, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he
Mhm.
pursue that in a different country if he didn't have the ties here back home? Which again would be a con. You have to leave America, you have to leave your family and friends, but guys are in situations where it makes sense to. I
And
can see
another,
that,
I think,
bro.
I think another con, instead of going and putting yourself in a dangerous situation like that, spending all this money, there's a lot of women that come to America that's fresh off the boat. So if you can position yourself and play it correctly, and you run into these women or you meet them, they can't wait to get into a relationship with a guy who not only has his shit together, who takes care of himself, who has game, who has a place on his own. He has his own place. They'll jump just to be with you. It's a new environment. They're scared. They want a guy that at least knows his ins and outs of the area he's living in. So if they're straight off the boat from Colombia, Philippines, there's no reason why they wouldn't want to get in a relationship with you once they come here. They still have those traditional values. They just brought them over here. But as long as you can program these women and you can keep frame, you can hold frame, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to get into a relationship with these women and have a loving relationship,
So
especially
then
once again in the area I live.
don't you see then more and more the con or the pros then of the passport bros? Because that is a girl, like you're saying, coming over from a different country with traditional values. Well, that's because, like you said, the longer they're here, they get more into the feminist culture and the American culture. So again, this is exactly why so many guys are like, yeah, passport bros. So many guys are like, yeah, what doesn't it make
Mhm.
sense? Like, I mean,
But it
it's
comes
like,
back, it still doesn't make sense to me because I guess it's the area I live in. It comes back to them living around my area. They all come here. I see a diversity of women within my location. Asians, Hispanics, Brazilians. Brazilians, another one that's very dangerous. If you go there, they'll hold you ransom and it's no hold bars. So be careful. It's a very dangerous area if you're just looking for women in Brazil. You have to know people, you have to know what you're doing. But we have all varieties of women that are in this location. So it doesn't make sense for me to go over there and find a woman if I'm already dating all of them the second they come here. And they're all great, high quality women. They still have those traditional values. But once again, if you're not happy with the women you're meeting, and I know someone I was coaching who lives in Rhode Island, he lives in this area where some of the ugliest people you'll ever see. And he showed me pictures on dating apps. I don't blame him. It's hard for him to find a good quality gal. But I tell him, you have to move, man. You have to move closer to the city or an area that has your types of women. That's it. Yeah,
which could very well be overseas.
yeah, which could be overseas.
I mean,
But
if he has to move anyway, right? I feel like that just makes another good point for the passport bros.
it,
You can move to a different country, do better on your salary, plus have way more women that are looking for. Because that's the other things are. It's like you've been in game for over 15 years, right? Or
yeah,
13
yeah,
plus
15,
years,
17, yeah.
17 years. So yeah, you do fine when girls come over here to your dating environment, but the guys that aren't in that situation, it's it would just make sense. It would make sense because we know that it's an extra layer. Like if you can do good with American women, if you have game with American women, you'll do just fine. You'll do great overseas. So if that's the case, the guys that aren't great with American women already, maybe they're just like, well, I don't want to even go through all that crap. I want to just date and meet a girl that I can commit to and all that. And if I go overseas to where that's still a prevalent factor, because that's another pro of the passport bros is that it's not just that women over there have in other countries it's still more traditional all that, but also their mothers were still raised with very traditional values. So then they're learning from their mothers, their female role models there. Whereas in America, every girl's mother now has been through feminism already. So now they don't even a lot of times have a feminine role model to look up to. So there's kind of like a double, you get a more traditional culture, plus you get women that have been raised in that and had a feminine mother to look up to.
But it's laziness. To me, it's straight up laziness. It's fucking laziness. Instead of learning the game, taking the time to soak in everything we're teaching them, investing their money into the courses, into coaching, they would rather take the easy way out. And I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm pretty sure majority of the passport bros, the guys that are into this, they want the easy way out. They're just saying, fuck it. You know what? I don't want to spend the time to learn the game and do all this stuff. Let me just go overseas and find a woman that I can marry and get in a relationship with. I don't have to deal with anything. But guess what? You still have to know how to keep your frame, how to keep her in a relationship. You have to know how to handle her when she's arguing with you. You have to know the signs of when a woman is cheating on you. You have to know how to set your boundaries properly. So there is no easy way out. You're still gonna fucking loser over there if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, yeah,
Because
I don't think it has to be separate. It's not that passport bros go, I don't want to learn games, I'm going to go overseas. Passport bros, a lot of them that I've heard, right, because they're familiar with this, they're red pilled in a sense, they've dug into some sort of game. They just see that their game goes a lot longer. It goes a lot farther overseas. It's like their dollar lasts a lot longer overseas in the game world. So these guys still could be learning game. These guys might be listening right now and they're learning game, they're soaking up game, but their game even is more impactful on these women that overseas versus the women here that have the mindset of impress me first. Oh, you're not signed up for my OnlyFans. I'm not going to talk to you. Right. The difference is you still can learn game, but your game theoretically seems to go farther overseas.
is it easier? Yes. I think depending on where you go, like picking up women in Brazil and Colombia, I think it's much easier than picking up the same types of women over here. Especially if you dress nicely, you carry yourself a certain type of way, they see you're an outsider. I think it's much easier. But there's a downside to that. How do you know if these women aren't using you, if they're not manipulating you, if they're not being deceitful? How do you know if they're not trying to get something out of you? How do you know if they like you because of who you are and not because of what you have or where you're from or what they can get out of you?
Well, I would say you'd probably say the same thing of the women over here. How do you know she's not just using you trying to play nice to get the great legal system that's set up for marriage here? And we would tell the same guys, well, you got to pay attention to her signs, see how she looks at you, see how she responds to you, see how her behavior is towards you. The exact same signs for an American woman would work overseas. And so even if she was using you, the risks over there are going to be a lot less than the risks over here of getting trashed in American court system.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't agree with getting married through the system, through the state whatsoever. I don't agree with that at all. But I think you could still get married through the church, synagogue, mosque, whatever religious organization you're part of, where you don't have to get the state involved. Because once you get married through the state, they own you. Even after you're divorced 30 years later, they will know everything you guys are doing with your life. They will know everything, no matter how long you're separated for. The state owns you. But if you get married the proper way, they can't do that. The state doesn't own you. A lot of people just don't know the law and they don't know how a marriage license works. But I'll tell you a quick story of someone that was close to me who actually married a Middle Eastern girl that he brought over here. She got her papers, the whole nine. They fell in love with each other. And 2 years later down the road, 2 or 3 years later down the road, they ended up getting a divorce. He didn't have any game. He was a beta blue pilled guy. He just thought, oh, she's going to love me for who I am. I don't need any game. She's from the Middle East. She loves me. I got her papers. Why would she end up leaving me? She was cheating on him the entire time. The dude had no fucking game. Ended up getting pregnant by another guy. She wanted to come back in his life, and he said, you know what? I want a divorce. Like, I'm done with this. Sign the papers. And he ended up buying her a $15,000 wedding ring, thinking that she was going to love him even more. But once again, as we know, you cannot negotiate natural desire. When he told me that, oh, I bought her a $15,000 ring. I'm finally going to propose to her and give her this ring. So it's a real marriage. It's a real proposal. I was like, dude, you are a fucking idiot. Like, she was cheating on you this entire time. And you're going to reward her and you're going to think things are going to be different. You're going to live happily ever after. And I called it like several months later. They ended up getting a divorce and he got the ring back. It was like the dumbest fucking thing ever. Guys, like blue pill beta guys, they think that you can buy a woman's affection or you can negotiate natural desire. It doesn't work that way. It never has. It never fucking will work that way. But that was just one extreme example of why you still need to have game, because she was fucking with dudes that did have game when she came over here. You know what I
All
mean?
right,
So,
I got a question for you, Czar.
mhm.
If we take two guys that both don't have game, would you suggest that they would do better here in America with American women or better overseas in a more Eastern country?
Initially better overseas. Long lasting, it's a fucking disaster.
But
With
either
the
isn't it
example I
long?
just
Wouldn't
told you.
long lasting be a disaster in America anyway, too? So overall, guy with no game is going to do what? Would you agree a little bit better overseas?
A guy with no game would do better overseas, but she's going to she's going to suck him dry with his resources. All that
Sure,
money
but that could happen.
going
So a guy in
completely
America
gone.
might not get any girls to even suck his resources necessarily. But let's just say the guy with no game wasn't going to get married either way. Guy, does he do better here or does he do better overseas?
Of course, I think he'll do better overseas just because of certain poverty-stricken areas.
Okay, so guy with medium game, does he do better here with American women or better overseas?
Overseas.
Okay, guy with top level game. Am I going to do better here or could I do better overseas?
Once again, I think it depends on the location in America. Because if you have
Sure,
top level
sure,
game,
but in general, right? If a guy has game, is he going to do better overseas in these other countries versus America? Because I feel like America might be the toughest women. Like America's probably one of some of the toughest women to game.
yeah, the most narcissistic, the most
Yeah.
egotistical. I think social media ruined that, the amount of options they have now with Instagram and all these dating apps. But
So
of course, overseas.
so in conclusions are you team passport bro now?
Absolutely
Like
not.
not that
Because
you're going overseas, but I can see all of the logical reasons why they do it. I can see very little cons unless you have a bunch of family here that you don't want to leave behind. But if a guy has the ability to do it, I don't really see a con. If
but a
that's
lot
what
of
he's looking
guys
for.
don't have I think a lot of men don't have the freedom to do it either. If you work here, your family's here, some have children that are here. You don't want to leave everything behind, just get up, go to another country and marry a woman. I think
Yeah, very million percent.
realistically, it's always best to find a high quality woman. They're out there in America. They're here. You don't have to go overseas to find them. Why? Because we are the most diverse country in the world. All the women from all over the fucking world come here.
Yeah, it just it's
All
just
over.
which is true, but it's the cultural influence right now in America that makes it the lowest reward for the risk of commitment to a woman. I would say it's just even in America, it's just a lot harder to do with our culture.
No, and it
And
is. And I'll be honest with you, because when I meet Russian women that come here, the culture and the feminism changes them completely. Completely change. They do a fucking 180. But if you go to Russia, the women are feminine there. They're compliant. They're easygoing. They're easy to talk to. They're respectful. They still
Czar's
have
gonna become a Russian passport,
those
bro.
core values, because I notice a difference the second they come here. There's a change in them. I'm not sure if that is with every woman. I don't have experience like that the second they come over here, but I know, me having a Russian background, I noticed the change, the negative change within these women. They're more competitive, they're more masculine, they're more toxic.
Yeah.
And is that because of the environment where they have to adapt? They have to become a certain way, they have to become masculine in order to make it here?
I
Who
mean, yeah, I
knows?
mean,
It
everywhere you
has to
look
be.
around, though, everyone's doing a certain thing. Everything on media is a certain way. It's like if I thought about that, if I was going to a different country and I saw, oh, this is how everyone acts, I'd be like, oh, this is how it's done here. It's just probably natural to start acting the way in that new environment. It would probably be very hard to keep a lot of your old traditional or your old views if you're like, oh, this is how it is here. This
Mhm.
is how everyone is. All the people I meet, all the women I meet are like this. All the movies I see are like this. All the commercials are like this.
Yeah. But I've met beautiful European women, Polish, German, that had those traditional values they kept. They had good upbringings. They
Yeah.
had good parents. Same thing with Latinas, Hispanics, Brazilians, same thing. Those traditional values, they don't go away.
Well, yeah, I think it's just more of the percentage play. It's like the because let's just say that every guy that finally got serious, like let's just say the top 10% of men in America finally go, we're done with the hookup culture. We're going to date for and only commit to serious women. Well, now if those top 10% of men say that in America, now all of these other guys, the other 90%, are now having to fight through these 10% for the smaller pool of women in America there is going to be versus when you go overseas, now you have less competition and you become a foreigner. So you have almost a specialty uniqueness about you, a conversation starter. You have that, something a little different about you.
And
So,
you get to learn a new language.
yeah.
I think that's a pro. You get to learn a new language. You're forced to learn a new language, whether that's Philippine, whether that's Portuguese, fucking Spanish, whatever it is. You're going to be forced to learn a new language, which is exotic. It's cool. I love it. I love that idea. But once again, if you want Brazilians, come to Newark, New Jersey. If you want Latinas, go to Elizabeth, New Jersey. If you want Polish women, go to Linden, New Jersey. That's what I like. If you're in the heart
Yeah.
center of New Jersey, you can have whatever types of women you want that just
Sure,
came right off the
but if you're
boat,
gonna
have those
move
traditional
to
values.
like if I was gonna move from Washington State to Jersey for that like that now I'm moving away from all my friends and family around me anyway. So at that point, why would I move to New York or Jersey? Why wouldn't I move over to Columbia or why wouldn't I
I
move
know.
over
Adam,
to
trust me. I would love to go to Colombia with you. I'd
Mexico?
love to go.
Mexico, man, it's so fun. I've been to two weddings this last summer in Mexico and the amount of like going out for one like little date that I would do here in America where I might buy a girl a drink or two drinks, that price in Mexico, you have like an entire night of fun, including a dinner and all that stuff. Like imagine the type of like there's I just feel like the opportunities if you're in the situation that you can work remotely, which more places, more and more people can these days with technology.
I know. I love how it's also cheaper over there. Me and my friend just went out in a place called Elizabeth, New Jersey, the city in New Jersey called Elizabeth, where a lot of Colombians are now. And after we're out at the lounge until 1:32 in the morning, I wanted something sweet. I was hungry. You drink tequila, you become hungry all of a sudden. So we go across the street and there's this Colombian bakery open, 2 in the fucking morning, open. Older women working there. They don't even speak English. The happiest women I've ever seen. Everyone's having a good time. I picked out like 6 pastries, flan cake, this coconut cake, and croissants, 6 different things. She tells me the price. I thought she said $30. I was like, okay, $30. That's reasonable. She said 13 fucking dollars, 1 3. I'm like, how is this bitch? I was like, how is she making money in this place? I'm like, it's
Yeah.
incredible. And they don't care. They don't fucking care. I was like, yo, $13. I felt like a king at that place. I was like, give me 2 more. You know what I mean? Like the best cakes I've ever had. The culture was amazing. I love the Latin culture, especially the Colombian culture. I love Colombian women.
So
But
imagine that every day and
you're
even
right. I know
cheaper.
you feel like a
Yeah.
king. You feel like a king, but it was safe to be there. It was much safer to be there. No crime, no violence. You could be out at 3 in the morning. No one messes with you. No one fucks with you. No one's gonna rob you or steal your money.
Well, I mean,
But
but Czar,
if you,
you could go in, you could go to the New York subways these days or San Francisco, and are you really going to feel that safe with what's
no,
going on these days?
I wouldn't even live there. I hate New York City personally.
So I
I
think,
hate
right,
big
you have the
cities.
money now. Your money goes so much farther in a different place. So if you have, let's just say you have a $50,000 salary to live somewhere in New York, it's going to be a lot harder to live in a safe place versus taking that $50,000 salary to Mexico or just any other foreign place where it's a little cheaper. And now you can live in a higher class place where you're safe and you live more like a king every day.
Once again, Adam, do your research. I want you guys do your research. Like Machiavelli said, and I have his book, The Prince, amazing book. You have to know your environment. You have to know your territory in case anything happens. You need to know the ins and outs. You have to be comfortable with the place you live in. You have to know it like the back of your hand. If you go to these remote locations that you've never been to, you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation. Unless you have someone there that knows the in and outs, they can show you, they can teach you certain things, places you stay away from, things you don't say, certain times you don't go out. You have to know these things. I'm just saying, do your due, have the diligence to learn about the location. Do your homework. Don't be fucking stupid because I know a lot of men that are in the grave over a woman and they're not coming back. There's a lot of men in the graveyard over a woman.
Yeah, man, I would say a lot of those too happen. What is it? Men are 9 times more likely to commit suicide after divorce. So that's what some of that disaster legal troubles can do to you.
Yeah, and this is how evil women can be. I don't think if I mentioned this on the last podcast, the evil nature of women. I heard this story, this maxillofacial surgeon told me, where he had a patient that came in who tried to off himself with his own weapon, and he ended up living. He shot himself in the head. He ended up living. He ended up in the hospital. The reason why he did this was because of his divorce with the Russian woman. He married a Russian woman. Clearly, she probably just married him for money because this dude was a beta male. No disrespect. Took advantage of him. And as he's in the hospital, mind you, this just happened to him. He's in the hospital, okay, depressed, almost offed himself. His ex-wife comes in with her lawyer and hands him the divorce papers. As he's going through this, she did not give a flying fuck. Men, women don't care if you off yourself over them. They don't give a fuck. They're not going to feel bad for you. A week, 2 weeks later, they're going to be at Adam's house or my house. They're not even going to mention your name. They already forgot. Women don't care about your weaknesses. I know how difficult divorce can be, especially with that situation. It opened up my eyes. I already knew the evil nature of women, but I don't want that happening to you. It's never worth doing some harm to yourself or anyone else over a woman. It's the dumbest thing you guys can ever fucking do. The dumbest.
Yeah, and it goes back to again understanding the nature of women makes so you can live with sanity in the world. With women is it's biologically hardwired in her so that she can move on. Because we talked before about the war brides, right? Again, if women growing up were could be bought and sold, they could have their husbands slayed, killed, and she gets taken over by a new tribe. So she has to learn how to ditch the old man, on with the new. And so when that girl is ready for divorce, she's ready to end the relationship. That is the final straw. Then a
Mhm.
lot of times, right? It's programming her. She's ditching the old man, on with the new so that she can live on for her and her children, so that she can move on and be able to deal with the emotions and all that of the children. So that's just something you got to understand with women, right? The woman you marry is not the same woman you see in the divorce court.
Yeah, they're hardwired that way. So
Yeah.
I said that to say this. If you go overseas and you meet up with the girl on Tinder, you match with her, and she ends up setting you up, she doesn't give a fuck about you or your life. She's getting her cut, she's getting her pay, however much money they're giving her. She's the decoy. We've all seen the movie Taken, except this time it's with women. It's not with a good looking French dude like in the
Yeah.
movie.
So if you do it, I would say like I think Zara and I are in agreement that just make sure you do your due diligence. I myself with the Basketball Bros, I see a ton of the pros. I myself haven't done it just because I'm very close with my family around here. I got some young nieces and nephews I want to be around a lot. But I definitely could see myself doing that if I didn't have such a close-knit tie with my family here in the United States.
Yeah, but you're a Vikings fan. You think you can program them to wear your Vikings jersey? You're
Oh,
Minnesota.
oh,
No, Colombians. They're
Czar,
gonna
I
look at
would
you like,
love
eh?
it would be the easiest. They don't have any football team to root for in other countries. That's almost too easy, right? It's
Adam,
more
they watch
fun trying to take
soccer.
a
It's
diehard
all about
Seahawks girl
soccer.
fan and making her a Vikings fan.
It's all about soccer. They're gonna look at you as you hand them that Vikings jersey. They're gonna say, "¿Qué? ¿Qué es?"
No, I'll start programming the women overseas that football is American football.
Oh, you're gonna have a
It's
big target
not.
on your back
It's
then,
not.
Adam.
No,
You're
no.
gonna have the
I'll
biggest
get
target on your
attacked by all
back.
the overseas.
Yeah, they're gonna go like gringo. Gringo,
Yeah.
¿dónde? ¿Dónde está gringo?
Uh, all right, guys. Let us know in the comments
Yeah,
what you
let
guys
us know
think
your
about the
opinions.
Passport Bros.
I want to hear their thoughts, who they think was right, who's wrong, or it could be in between. There are always pros and cons. I just would rather you guys learn the game, learn how to screen a woman, date higher quality women here. Or once again, this is not a selling point to come to New Jersey, but come to Jersey and we'll go out for a drink and I'll show you guys how it's done. But make sure you guys do sign up for our 5-week coaching seminar in March. We are
Yep.
currently booked for
February will be starting
February.
on Wednesday for you guys in our February crew. But again, if you want to get in, make sure to let us know ASAP. We've got a couple applications in for the March one.
What do they get, Adam? Tell them what they get included.
They get a 5-week seminar. Each week is a new seminar Zara and I put on, teaching a different piece of attraction, something that we haven't talked about on the podcast, or we expand it in more detail, followed by a live Q&A that we sit there and answer any questions guys have, period. Plus,
And our
they get
courses,
access to all of our courses, including learning how to text women, how to meet women on dating apps, Zara's workout program, his
the
attraction
attraction
ebook,
course, and the relationship.
relationship ebook, and then my first date mastery class. So you really
They
get
have the full package.
the full armor of game. Look at that. Look
They're
how
not going to
easily that
lose.
just
They can't lose. And we
came
might come
together.
up with a new one, how to screen women, or we might put that on our new channel where men can come in and we teach them game. They can have screenshots of messages. They'll watch videos that we will have teaching them game, short clips. If you guys want to be a part of that, Adam is going to create a group for like-minded individuals. We don't know the monthly cost yet, but it's going to be our own Patreon, except 10 times better.
Yep, we're looking at a full armor game kind of coaching community where we'll have a bunch of videos there for you guys, and then we'll be there interacting with you guys all day, all week long to answer your questions, and then the community around it. So other guys that have great questions, you get to learn. a lot of guys too who soak up game and have game themselves. So you can learn a lot
Yeah,
from the other guys that are
I'm
going through stuff like
surprised.
this.
And I'm surprised how quickly certain people learn the game and they love it. So any knowledge you guys have, please share it with us. We will make videos about it. That's what the group is for like-minded individuals that want to learn the game and want to sleep with beautiful women.
Yeah,
Or if you
and
just want that one
it's our
woman.
opportunity to, we can't if we want to take on 10 guys on our coaching programs and, now that they're starting to fill up a little quicker, we want an opportunity to, interact with a lot more guys. So we haven't figured out the exact details of it yet, but it's going to be something like a full armor of game coaching program. You'll come in, interact with guys, got videos and got all sorts of new tips and advice to help you on your journey.
It doesn't matter how old they are either. Anyone can learn this game. It's never too late. You're
And it
never too
doesn't, and
old.
if they're a passport bro or an American
Doesn't matter.
bro,
Yeah, you need game too if you're in
good
Thailand.
game is good game. It's gonna work in
Yeah.
all places.
You need to know how to avoid those lady boys. You guys need to learn the game.
Well,
If you're in
you gotta
Thailand,
learn how to avoid them here in the States
in
too.
the States too. You're right.
Both where we live too. Is
Oh man, it's becoming more prominent. They're looking
it
better and better.
is
You can't even
harder to
tell.
tell on Tinder.
I've matched with several women that were actually trans. At first glance, you know how guys they swipe quickly. You don't even read the bio. And I'm like, wait a minute, like this doesn't look 100% like a woman. If you have to question it, fellas, 99% of the times, it's not a woman.
Your
Okay.
intuition is right.
And then I read the bio and I see trans and the flag, and I'm like, oh, fuck, almost fell for it. So, guys, be careful out there. If you're into that, you're into that. We don't judge here.
Yeah.
But
All
thank you so
right.
much,
See you
guys. We
guys
love
next
you.
week.
Yeah, see you.